The pages before me, and they are stained with tears. Some tears are of sorrow, some of pride. And as I turn them, my voice may tremble, but you must listen with your heart, not just your ears. For this is the tale of Richard Cole, a father of iron will, a man whose heart was chained by pride, and of his two sons, Michael, the clever serpent of ambition, and Ethan, the gentle lamb who was cast into the wilderness. The city was New York, its nights heavy with lights that never slept, its streets cold with the hunger of men chasing power. In the heart of this city stood the Cole Mansion, tall walls, golden doors, and a silence inside that no wealth could cure. Richard Cole built this empire with blood and sweat. To the world, he was the man who had everything. But inside his home, love was unevenly poured, like water given to one son and withheld from the other. Michael, the elder, was sharp even as a child. He spoke like a man twice his age, always knowing what to say, how to impress. Ethan was only 10 when he realized love was not equal. At the breakfast table, Richard's hand rested proudly on Michael's shoulder. Michael, dressed sharply even as a boy, spoke of his dreams. "Father, one day I will make the Cole name greater than ever." Richard's eyes shone with pride. Ethan whispered softly, I want to help people one day, Father. Maybe I'll become a teacher, or..." But Richard cut him off. "The world does not need dreamers, Ethan. It needs rulers. You should learn from your brother." The words pierced deeper than any knife. Michael smirked, sipping his milk, his clever eyes glancing at Ethan with silent triumph. That night, Ethan sat alone by the window. The city lights flickered in the distance, far away from the mansion's golden cage. He held a small notebook where he wrote his dreams, helping the poor, teaching children, building something that healed hearts instead of crushing them. But he knew no one in his house would ever read those words. Years passed. Michael grew into the perfect son in Richard's eyes. Sharp suits, sharp words, sharp mind. Ethan, though kind and diligent, was treated as a shadow. One evening when Ethan was 16, a business partner came to dinner. The man asked politely, "And what about your younger son? What future do you see for him?" Richard chuckled, dismissing the boy as though he were heir. "Ethan, he is soft. He has no place in the empire. He will live a simple life." The words crushed Ethan's heart. He excused himself from the table, his chest heavy, his eyes burning. Michael followed him later, smirking. "You heard him, didn't you, little brother?" Michael whispered cruelly. "This empire, it's mine. You don't belong here. You never did." Those words planted a wound that would take years to heal. That night, Ethan swore he would prove them wrong, or be destroyed trying. The winter that followed was cruel, not only in the streets of New York, but in the heart of a boy who longed for warmth and found only shadows. Snow covered the Cole Mansion in white silence. Outside, the world laughed in carols and bells, but inside, Ethan sat by the fireplace alone. Michael was at his father's side, learning numbers, deals, the hidden tongue of business. Ethan pressed his hands together, watching the fire dance. His eyes were not on the flames, but on the door behind which Richard and Michael sat. He could hear faint voices, prideful laughter, the sound of a bond he was never part of. On Christmas Eve, the family gathered for dinner. The tree was tall, decorated with glass ornaments, but its beauty was hollow. Richard handed Michael a gift, an expensive watch. "For a man who values time," he said proudly. Ethan's gift was a simple book. Richard barely looked at him when he handed it. "For your stories," he muttered, already turning back to Michael. Ethan held the book close, his chest heavy. The pages smelled of ink and possibility. That night, when the house was asleep, Ethan opened it and began to write, not about numbers or business, but about dreams, about wounds, about the hunger to be seen. Each word was a whisper of his soul. Each page a cry that no one in the mansion would ever hear. But the book became his friend. And in those pages, Ethan began to build the heart that one day would rise higher than gold. The mansion had a garden, vast and quiet, where roses grew despite the cold. It was here that the brothers often crossed paths. One afternoon, Ethan sat on a bench sketching in his notebook. His drawings were not of money or empire, but of children playing, of homes filled with laughter, of faces smiling without masks. Michael approached, dressed sharply even on a lazy day, his eyes filled with the arrogance of a crown he believed already his. "Still dreaming, little brother?" he asked, smirking. "While you waste ink, I'm learning how to control an empire. Do you know what Father said yesterday? He said I will be greater than him one day." Ethan looked up, his eyes calm but hurt. "Michael, not everything is about power. Don't you ever wonder if life can be more than just money?" Michael laughed, sharp and cold. "Only fools wonder. Power is the only truth, and you will never taste it." He walked away, leaving the garden colder than before. Ethan closed his notebook, pressing it against his chest. His heart ached, but deep inside, a fire flickered. "One day, Michael," he whispered softly. "One day you'll see. Kindness is not weakness, and when that day comes, it will be too late." It was Ethan's 17th birthday when the wound deepened beyond repair. The mansion hosted a gathering, family, friends, business associates, people who came not for Ethan but for Richard and Michael. As the night grew louder with music and laughter, Richard raised a glass and placed his hand on Michael's shoulder. "To my son, Michael Cole, my pride, my heir, my future. Tonight I see not just a boy, but the man who will carry this empire forward." The guests cheered. Michael smiled with polished grace. Ethan stood at the edge of the hall, his heart pounding. The words struck him like stones. His birthday. Yet his name was not even spoken. When the night ended and the guests were gone, Ethan gathered courage and approached his father. His voice trembled, but his eyes begged. "Father, why do you never see me? Why am I always the shadow?" Richard's gaze was hard as granite. "Because you are not like Michael. You lack strength, Ethan. You lack the fire this world demands. Stop chasing what you cannot be. Accept your place before life breaks you apart." The words sliced deeper than any blade. Ethan's throat burned, but he did not cry in front of him. He turned away, walking into the night air, the stars above blurring in his eyes. That night, under the weight of silence, Ethan made a vow stronger than before. "If I must be cast out, I will walk into the fire. If I must be broken, I will rise from the ashes, and when I return, neither Father nor Michael will ever look at me the same again." The evening was quiet, too quiet for the Cole mansion. The chandeliers still glowed, the walls still stood proud, but in the heart of that house a storm was brewing. Richard had called both sons into his study. His voice, sharp and cold, filled the room. "Michael, tomorrow you will take your first lead in negotiations. The empire is yours to shape." Michael bowed his head with a proud smile. "I will not fail you, Father." Ethan stood near the window, silent, his hands trembling against the frame. For months he had tried to earn even a fragment of his father's trust. For months he had swallowed pain, hidden wounds, written vows in secret ink. But tonight, the silence grew unbearable. Gathering courage, Ethan stepped forward. His voice cracked, but his heart screamed. "Father, I too deserve a chance. I have studied, I have worked. I may not be Michael, but I am your son. Give me one chance to prove myself." The study fell silent. Richard's gaze turned toward Ethan, heavy with disdain. Michael smirked in the corner, already knowing what would follow. Richard's words fell like thunder.
"Enough, Ethan. You are not fit for this world. You are weak, you are naive, and you are a burden I can no longer carry."
Ethan's chest tightened, breath stolen from him. His lips parted, but no words came. Michael stepped forward, his voice smooth and venomous. "Father is right, little brother. You dream too much. You don't belong in this house or in this empire. Maybe it is time you find your own place, somewhere far away." The blow struck harder than 1,000 fists. Ethan's eyes stung with tears he refused to let fall. His fists clenched. His voice, quiet but burning, broke the silence. "So be it. If you cannot see me here, I will go, but remember this night, Father. Remember these words, brother. The boy you cast away will rise, and when he does, the world will not call him weak. It will call him greater than both of you." He turned, his footsteps echoing through the mansion's halls. His shadow stretched long behind him as if the walls themselves tried to hold him back. But he did not stop. Not when he reached the doors. Not when the cold air struck his face. Not even when he heard his father's voice, distant and final. "Leave, Ethan, and do not return."